since the last time I played earlier this week. I was playing version 1.1. We're up to version 1.43, I believe. And so, of course, I wanted to catch up. So this is, I'm not going to go through a lot of the dialogue. I'm not going to read a lot of the dialogue out loud the way that I did before, because I don't think that would be interesting. But I will kind of rush through what I was playing the last time, try to catch up, so we'll get through that first dungeon just before we head to Tori Village. Yeah, and just see what's different. There's a lot of under the hood changes. There was some cleanup to the, the translation and stuff. I did notice in 1.1 that there were some typos, some misspellings, stuff like that. But some of the big ones are like UI changes. So, stackable herbs and red gems. There's a new UI feature that shows off, what item you currently have equipped, etc., etc. And also a lot of cool, there's now like a ROM builder, and so you can go online. You have to supply your own ROM, of course, but you can pick and choose. Like, do you want the graphics for this area to be from the Japanese version, like kind of restored? Do you want a hybrid of, the Japanese and the English title screens? And so you can sort of build your own ROM. It's cool. I've never seen anything like it, especially because it's like just for Illusion of Gaia. One of the ones that I turned on that I do think will help the game a bit is you can turn it on so that healing herbs refill your entire health bar instead of just doing 8 health every time you use one, because that, by the end of the game, that's not a lot. And I do think that should take the edge off a little bit when it comes to, just having to conserve those herbs, because there are times, especially in that last boss rush where, I may be going through 2 herbs just to heal up, whereas if I only have to use 1, that kind of takes that edge off, which is a very nice change. So like I said, I'm not going to read a lot of the dialogue again. It's more or less the same. I'm not going to go poking around the way that I did before. This is just to catch up, get through that first dungeon, and see, if we've noticed any other little improvements or changes. And so another, for instance, another thing you can do in the ROM builder is if you don't like, these new fancy frames, you can change those back to the original frame. Lots of little, configurable things like that, which is neat. So we're going to... This area is only visible to... there was something... So I'll record... Never mind, I thought there was something new in there, but there wasn't. I did play a few minutes of this when I first discovered it. It's pretty good. And so we have Gem. I can't remember if this was the case in some of the other releases, or in the official release, but you can, in this version, send your gems to Gem, just directly from the menu now, which is cool. I can raise the red jewel, it became a ray of light, flew to Gem, the jewel merchant's location. If you could do this in the original, I didn't know, and I would hoard them and have to go back to Gem, I think, and it was not efficient at all. So this is an area where you can see that, the fisherman guy's gone. Typically, I don't, like I said, try to go for all the red gems, but, you do get some useful items. You kind of want to get to 30, typically. And so, I'm not going to willingly pass one up. But I'm not also going to sit here for 10 minutes trying to reload. There he is. Yeah. Go. Yeah, look at that. And you can see, actually, this is a good opportunity. I can show you that when I equip the red gem, you can see up in the top portion of the screen now, in the middle between sort of the lives and those other points, you can see what item I have equipped, which is nice because, as you get deeper in the game, you do use those extra items quite a bit, and I constantly have, the wrong one equipped, or I don't know which one I have, and then I start playing a song. Big pain in the butt. So I'm happy to see just, you know, little quality of life improvements there in that way. Next up, gotta guess the card. If you can believe it, I think this game is rigged. I don't think it matters which card you pick. Which I think is pretty obvious. Alright, so it's evening. Now I go back to my house. Kara's there with Hamlet. And then gets sort of kidnapped by the guards, brought back to the castle. There's Kara. I don't think there's a lot of like major changes to the actual text. I think some of it's been cleaned up. There might be, you know, like a few little updates and stuff here and there. I think there's been some work to like the prologue that plays if you know, sit at the title screen long enough, compared to when I played the version 1.1. But again, I'm not doing a comparison, so it's hard to say for sure. But you know, the localization, the translation here is dramatically improved over the original. I would love to see this same treatment put towards Terra Enigma, which is Illusion of Gaia's spiritual follow-up. And it has really rough translation. Illusion of Gaia is fine. It's functional. It does the job. You understand the themes of the game. It's more just could be better. You know, it's very much 1994 localization. Whereas Terra Enigma is like it's not unplayable. Like, you know, I did enjoy my time with the game, but you can absolutely use a similar treatment to this, just to like take a great game and really do justice to you know, to the game under the hood, and try to, you know, create an experience that is equal to what, you know, Japanese players playing in their native language, the native version of Terra Enigma get to experience. Because, you know, as it is, the English version, which of course wasn't even available in North America, you have to get a PAL version of the ROM, patch it to be 60 hertz. So, you know, there aren't a lot of good ways, or, you know, clean ways to play Terra Enigma without resorting to, you know, patching ROMs and stuff like that. But I sure would like to see you get a new translation. Pretty snazzy. So we're heading here to Edward's Castle. This is where I'm trying to go find and save Kara, the princess, who has been kind of kidnapped by guards. But it doesn't go well for Will, as we know. But so the king has summoned me. But I can't talk to him, and he's in there. So instead, I'm gonna go try to find Kara. The idea is to like break her out. The king wanted me to bring like my dad's ring. My dad was an adventurer who got lost at the Tower of Babel like a year ago. Will was the only survivor, made it back to his village. Nobody knows what happened. But Will does not have the ring. Okay, this is cool. The background, the mountains here have changed. I did patch in, I believe these are the original, like, Japanese version mountains, so you can see some very strong winds blowing those sort of like scudding clouds across the sky, which is cool. There's like, you know, when you run, there's like a funny, like when you run, this is great. When I run against the clouds, they like slow down, which is great. And then when I run with them, they speed up. Good stuff. Which is probably why it ended up being changed in the North American version, but I kind of like it. Okay, so Kara just told the guard to let me in. She doesn't like her dad. She says, you know, the king and the queen have changed. Her mother, the queen, has like hired an assassin, which is like, what a funny situation. So now I need to go talk to the king after this because I don't have the ring and because the king is, you know, going through some things. I get thrown into the dungeon, which ends up being like the game's, I guess thrown in the jail, I should say, which ends up being the first real dungeon of the game. Okay, so I said I had the ring, and then of course when I didn't, he now calls me a liar and throws me in jail, which is fun. Good stuff. I mentioned on the last stream that like there are some similarities to Chrono Trigger, and Chrono Trigger's kind of opening with you know, the Will kind of looking a little like Chrono. It's a pretty generic type of kind of hero, young villager hero coming of age design, but you know, the Princess Kara, me getting kidnapped, having to break out, and all that kind of stuff is, you know, there's similarities, broad strokes. So I don't know if there's a way to get through this part faster. I think I just mostly have to wait, which is like, you know, metatextual. It's like, oh, you're in jail. Gotta wait. Nothing you can do. You're trapped. Okay. So some bread. It's moldy. It tastes gross. I miss Grandma's cooking. Boop, boop, boop. We're just waiting for Hamlet at this point. So again, you know, one of the things I like about this game is Will is not a silent protagonist. And he talks more in this retranslation than I remember from the original in terms of actual dialogue, but that might just be my memory being off. But what I really like is the way that his, the majority of his dialogue is like framing and narration for the story, which I think is really effective. Right now he's talking to a flute who claims to be his dad. And he wants Will to like go around the world finding these like statues. All right, look at that. Whoop. So, Grandpa Bill was the architect of this dungeon. And my dad's just telling me like, use my flute, my telekinesis powers to pick up the little gems left behind by enemies. Which I can do. And then they kind of act like coins in Mario. So you can see there's a 5 up at the top. If I get 100, then I get one of those hearts. A heart's like a life. And so if I die, I kind of start back at the beginning of the screen that I'm in, rather than like my game just being over or whatever. Or at the beginning of the boss again, or whatever. So here we can see this is a good example of the new UI. Up at the top there, you can see that I have my key equipped, which is pretty handy. Fortunately, there is a safe spot in this dungeon, but nobody can see it but me. So the big space head is just telling me that I can use my map, basically. And then I'll be able to see like where enemies are, because defeating enemies is very important. There's no experience system. no traditional experience system, but when you defeat all the enemies in one area of a dungeon, so there's 3 in this area, then you get the force for that area, and that's going to be an attack upgrade, a defensive upgrade, or a hit point upgrade. And so you want to, you're really encouraged to go around each area and try to defeat all the enemies. And then there's even like navigational elements that are tied to defeating enemies as well. So I have the key equipped, and it's irritating. So I'm not going to do that anymore. Instead, I take it off. Eventually, over time, you get dark powers in the game, which allow you to do other fun things, like Will can kind of rush and jump over things. But I don't have anything like that now. You'll notice right now it takes me, quite a few chops with my flute at these bats to defeat them, but by the end of this dungeon, they start kind of going down quite a bit easier. So it's nice that, like, I think one thing that this game does really well is it gives you that sense of, like, progress over the course of a dungeon, so you constantly feel like you're getting stronger in kind of short time periods. You're not waiting, a long time for a big update or upgrade. You're kind of like getting every screen, you're getting a little bit stronger, whether that's a little more resilient because your hit points go up, a little, faster because doing damage, your strength goes up, so you're doing more damage, you're taking enemies out more quickly, and it just feels good. It's a good little carrot. In a sec here, once I defeat these last 2 enemies, you'll see the first instance where navigation is tied to defeating enemies. So I got the focus, which is a strength upgrade, but it also activated this door. And so you can't progress past that room without defeating the enemies. Now, I don't believe that's not the case in every room. It's not like you can only ever, or you can only ever proceed once you've defeated all the enemies, but it is quite frequent. So there's a little, like, dandelion fluff flying around. We'll find out more about that later. Looks like I missed one. Oh, it's over on the other side. And so this is where the map also becomes useful. You can see here there's quite a few enemies. I can also see that there's one treasure chest, one item. And so, again, the game is really, like, encouraging you to, like, explore the whole area, upgrade as much as you can, and, like, baking that into the idea of, like, okay, this is how to play the game. This is how to get the most out of the game. Find those items. One thing I like a lot is that about this retranslation patch is they have added this run button. It still feels weird. This is my second session playing this, and Illusion of Gaia with like a traditional run button is odd. But it does feel good. So here I get a defensive upgrade, and I also open up the next area. And so, they're really making sure that in this first dungeon that I'm getting stronger. I think that's why they gate off so many of the areas in progress, more so than they do in the later dungeons, because they want to make sure that and you're encouraged to continuously defeat all those enemies, get your stat upgrades over time. Chat. I see somebody's chatting it up, but I can't see it because I don't know what I'm doing. Oh no. Oh no. That's sticky little button. So when I drop on this, there will be some not dialogue. I will open up the treasure chest area. Let us figure out how to see chat. in. I'm good at this, guys. I promise. Alright. Aha. 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 I did it. Hello. Deco Boko 222. It is a good game. It's one that I feel like has sort of like earned its laurels over the last few years. Like I see people getting excited about it, maybe more than I used to. It used to feel like sort of a hidden gem. But it really is, like, it's one of, in my opinion, the best, like, top-tier Super Nintendo action RPGs. It's right up there with, you know, anything else you can name. And a lot of that is because, you know, as an early generation Super Nintendo game, there's a lot to like. It's fast, the world design and the dungeon design are interesting. And it, you know, feels good to play. It's simplistic, but at the same time, it also has so many unique elements to it, narratively and in its sort of tone and texture and style, that just feels like nothing I've ever played before or since. There's this sense of melancholy to it that is just so good. I can't say enough good things about it. Even Terranigma has that melancholy, but it's different. It's not the same. So here's a good look at the new stacking system. So in the past, medicinal herbs could, they would take up one slot in your inventory per herb, but now they stack, you get a little number, same with red gems. And so, like, I've talked before about how there's like a limited number of, like a finite number of red gems in the game. And that can cause people a lot of problems if they get to the end of the game and they're out. And you get to a boss rush. There's a boss rush at the end of the game. And the last boss, too, is kind of tough. And the fact that they don't stack also means as your inventory gets full, you feel the urge to use them. But you can really just get yourself into a real pickle late in the game. And so stacking them is pretty nice. Ooh, I started playing my flute again. Stacking them is just really nice because it just gives that ability to like ration them to the fullest extent. This is a new piece of dialogue here. Now that I played the flute and hit the switches, the flower says thank you, which is nice. I saw that in the patch notes. That's the only reason I know it's new. Here we go. I cannot reach that, but I'll get this game's kind of second character, Friedan, in a moment here. Yeah, Deco Boko. It's definitely a game, like I played this way back, you know, at release. I remember spending a lot of time at a friend's house playing it. And I've played it several times since, and it really does like hold up against the best of what the Super Nintendo has to offer, which is saying a lot because the Super Nintendo is like loaded with good games. You know, obviously my love of Chrono Trigger is clear, but Illusion of Gaia and its just like take on action RPGs and the way it uses our real world history and mixes it with like these sort of cosmic fantasy elements, just cool. And it feels so good to play, and it's like 11 hours long. And I just think that there is like so much space out there for short RPGs and short action RPGs. So now I have Friedan, who is a big knight, so Will can turn into these other like characters. His range is weakness when you hit the switch now, and he is also stronger, so enemies are going down faster. You won't be surprised to hear that even as I get stronger, the enemies get stronger though. So now I have these brown skeletons which have way more hit points, and then they turn into my head. But Friedan's pretty sweet. Like, look at that guy, like beefcake. That long hair and that cape. Like nobody, like you don't wear a cape into a fight unless you know what you're doing. So Friedan's pretty sweet. he doesn't have a personality or anything. He's just like a magic knight of legend or something. But he just looks cool. And when he runs, look at this. Whoa. Like, he's sprinting in, like, full armor. Look at those shoulder pads, those pauldrons. So I'm getting close to the end of the dungeon, actually. But there's a little bit more to go. There's not really, like, a boss in this dungeon. But once we get kind of close to the end... Sorry, once we get past this and close to where I was the first time around, we'll, at that point, start wrapping up. This will be a bit of a quicker stream today, just because it's all about catching up with this new version of the retranslation patch, so that when I get to my next big stream, I'll be able to just start off where I was the last time. And, yeah, I mean, translation-wise, I'm not noticing a whole lot that's different, but the quality of life stuff, like being able to see my items, the stacking, herbs and stuff like that is, like, makes a huge difference. Just really feels good to play this way. And so this is Lily. She was that flower that helped me out. We find out a little bit more about her in a bit. She's from a kind of magical village called Itori. And that'll be the next major destination for Will. All right. Dekoboko asks, what does the patch add? Yeah, so you notice that the main character is still named Will instead of Tim. When I started up my save, just like half an hour ago, I could pick between the English or Japanese names. And so that was just something that I went and... just because I like and know the English names, but if you want to, you can pick Japanese names and it'll have all the Japanese names for everybody. But the patch itself is pretty crazy, to be honest. Like I was saying earlier, there's like a patch builder that you can use, which is really neat, and you can kind of pick and choose which elements you want updated or changed. Including like the title screen, so you can have the original title screen, an enhanced title screen, or you can have like a hybrid title screen, which uses, you know, a whole new kind of font style for the Illusion of Gaia part, and has the characters running up in space. I'll read through a few of the kind of new features here from the GitHub page for the project. Let's see. So there's like a lot of like restored graphics, because they changed quite a bit in the translation into the North American game, and so you can pick a lot of the Japanese original graphics. We saw that earlier in the castle where there was new mountains and sky. There's, you know, added support for Portuguese letter accents. You can use the fancy borders, which I can't show you right now, or you can, you know, go back to the default ones. There's enhanced inventory text. What else? Just graphics fixes and stacking of items here in like your inventory. As you can see, that's the big one that I'm really happy about. There's what else? A sky delivery man who will take you back to some of the earlier locations late in the game, which is nice because you do kind of get locked out of places like South Cape. And you can kind of go back there now. It's shortcuts like in the diamond mines, so you can go straight back to Frisia instead of having to run through the dungeon again. Just so like lots of stuff like that. And these are just, I'm going backwards through the patch notes. So, you know, as you get into version 1.2, which was pretty old, like restored backgrounds for Edward Castle, Tory Village, Moontribe Camp, etc. An error which was present in the original North American release, wherein the player could skip a power-up in the diamond mine by sprinting up a ramp with specific timing. The Sky Delivery Man, as I mentioned, now offers routes to Southgate, Frisia, Watermia as well. And in here it says they're actually working on new dialogue, so that when you return to those, it kind of, you know, indicates that time has passed and stuff, which is cool. So just lots of good stuff, and then like just an entire like textual retranslation of the game from top to bottom. It doesn't even seem like necessarily like a cleaned up script. It feels like it was just completely retranslated, which is great. Yeah, sprint button. So you can hold Y and just run instead of having to double tap in a direction, and so that way also gives you 8-way run instead of having to like run, stop, run in the other direction. Yeah, asset decompression allows scenes to load much faster. There's MSU compatibility, so you can have like, better music in there. So lots and lots of stuff, ranging from like big like the retranslation to smaller stuff like just quality of life upgrades. And so it takes just a great game and just makes it feel that much better. And of course, like the fact that you can use the ROM builder to sort of pick and choose like what you want to add to your version of the ROM is just wild. Like it's just really cool. I'll see if I can pull up the ROM builder. So you can see here, this is a good example of the restored background at the castle. Just trying to find the ROM builder so that I can show it off. Oh, how do you? It says there's item hot swapping. That's cool. I didn't know that. Oh, New Game Plus has been added. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Anyway, I can't find the ROM builder. I'm just getting the like GitHub page. But yeah, in any case, really cool. And you can pick, as I said, being able to pick and choose is really neat, because you can kind of make it as like robust of an upgrade as you want, or just like pick the things that like you really feel are necessary, and just go with that. You know, if you just want some of the graphical changes reverted to the Japanese version, or you know, whatever. If you don't like the new borders and you want to play the game, you know, as is, or with all the new features except the old borders, like, go for it. It's cool. It's good stuff. Okay, so I've got the smoked meat, and we're gonna go back to South Cape, and there will be a little bit of story, and then that will bring us to like departing for Tory Village, which is where I wrapped up the last stream, and that's where we'll wrap up this stream as well. So Will's house has been ransacked, and then we find out that it was probably the assassin that Kara's mom hired. She says, you know, if that assassin gets their you know, your scent, they'll never let go of you. You'll never escape. Yeah, so Dekoboko, there are definitely issues with the original translation. It's like I said earlier in the stream, it's fine, it's manageable, it's doable, but it you know, it doesn't make the game as good as it could be. And so the fact that they retranslated it, but it's still like, it's not, you know, I've played a lot of fan translations, and some of them are great, and some of them are not. This one seems like it wants to, as much as possible, you know, stay true to the tone and the texture and the feel of the original game, the original release, while still like capturing what was there in the Japanese version. And so like, I'm pretty impressed with it so far. It's not over the top. It doesn't feel gratuitous in the way that sometimes fan translations, especially older ones, could. Just feels like a really, like, you know, solid translation, and the fact that they then have added on top of that a bunch of quality of life improvements and, you know, restored graphics and all that. It's a cool way to experience Illusion of Gaia without it feeling like a new version. Like it still feels like you're just playing Illusion of Gaia, but just, you know, with some of those rough edges filed off a little bit. So pretty impressed so far with what I've played. And I'm excited to get further into the game and see how, you know, stuff like the run button and 8-directional run changes maybe the feel of some of the later levels or some of the later bosses and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where I'm going to wrap up today. I've caught up with the first stream, so we're on the latest version of the retranslation patch, and we will kick things off with the next stream by heading to Itori Village. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining me. If you like the stream, if you like Illusion of Gaia, head on over to funfactorpod.com, sign up for the podcast, you know, hit the bell here on YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the share, hit the, you know, like all the smashes, smash it. Because, you know, I enjoy doing this, and I hope to be able to do it for a long time. So thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being interested in Illusion of Gaia. It's one of my favorite games. Happy to have you here. I'll see you later.